Welcome, everyone. My name is Glenn McKnight, and today I have Olga Cavalli as our guest, and she's going to talk about everything that you ever wanted to know about the Southern School of Internet Governance. So, Olga, tell us about yourself. Tell us about the history of the school and what achievements.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Glenn, for having me in this interview and for thinking about preparing this virtual space for letting the community know about our project. My name is Olga Cavalli. I'm an electric and electronic engineer. I live in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I have also some other degrees. I'm a PhD and master's degree, but in my heart, I'm an engineer. And I've worked with telecommunications, with informatics many years, but in the last years of my career, I've been working with internet and ICT's ruling and regulations. And also I've been advising the government of Argentina and many companies in the region and abroad. We started with this idea of the South School of Internet Governance as I started to participate in the meetings of WSIS. My first meeting of this ecosystem was in 2005 in Tunis, representing the government of Argentina. And I was with my delegation and with the diplomats. And I noticed that Latin America was with a low representation. And the representation also was not only lower, but also with not a relevant activity, not showing up, and apart from few countries like Brazil, for example. So, and then I started to go to ICA meetings and I saw the same. So we thought with my partner, with Adrian Carvalho, we thought that it could be good to start a space that those people going to those meetings or participating somehow in the boundaries of these meetings could have a previous training with an overview of the internet ecosystem, of all the internet issues that were relevant each year. That was changing, but at that time. So we started with this idea. We started to think about this idea in 2007, and we could start with the first one in 2009. If you are familiar with Latin America, you will understand what I will say now. If you have a program that it's paid in Latin America, you will get very, very few people. And also, if you have a program where people speak English, native or not, and you have no translation, you will get very few participation and very, very lower outcomes. So one of the conditions that we wanted it to be was totally free. And the second condition was that it should have simultaneous translation, English, Spanish, at least all the time. So, and that you may know that for a budget that is extremely demanding. So it was difficult to find funding for the first one, but we could do that. And also we had no story to tell at the beginning. You know how it is. When you have something to tell, then companies and organizations think that it's worth the effort to support that. But at the beginning, it was difficult. But there is always someone that believes in the project. And we were lucky, and it was smaller. We had 26 participants in person in Buenos Aires. Only 3 of them were from the city, so they didn't need hotel. All the rest got hotel and meals. 2 of them got also tickets to come, especially people from Venezuela that have problems always to get funding for traveling. We could bring 30 experts from all over the world. We paid half of them tickets. So the budget was quite okay for that. It was very successful. And we thought that at the beginning it was going to be always in Buenos Aires, but then we thought that it could be worth to rotate around the region. And so we started with Brazil in the second year in 2010 with 80 fellows with the same concept. Simultaneous translation all the time, and hotel meals for everyone. And then we went to Mexico, Costa Rica, Panama, and the Caribbean, and Trinidad and Tobago. 2 times it was organized in the Organization of American States. We were there. because the OAS was interested, and we thought it could be okay or not making it in Washington, but they said, well, this is the house of all the countries of Latin America, so we thought it could be cool, and it was. And then we came back to Argentina. The idea of 2020 was to organize it in Argentina jointly with the University of Buenos Aires, where I'm a teacher, because we have been a long time away from the south of Latin America. And well, everything was prepared to have it in person as usual, with the hotel, meals, and all that free, but we were not able to. What I would like to say is the 2 times we organized it in Brazil, once in Rio de Janeiro with Fundación Getúlio Vargas, and once with the CGI in Sao Paulo. We have translation in 3 languages, Spanish, English, and Portuguese. For the 10th anniversary, we thought that it could be a good idea to produce a book. So we have edited a book. It's called Internet Governance and Regulations in Latin America. It's written in Spanish, English, and Portuguese. It's free for the community. It's a large book, so we have only printed very few just to have it for us, but you can find it in our website, gobernanzainternet.org. And so we have been rotating around the region, increasing the amount of fellows. In the last 4 or 5 schools, we had 200 or more fellows in person. And since 2012, we started with remote participation. That was an idea of the former Minister of Colombia, Mr. Diego Molano. He's a very well-known person in Latin America for his influence in ICTs in the region. And he said the schools must have simultaneous translation. And also he was very keen to have a strong presence in social networks. So we were, for 5 days, trending topic in Twitter at that time in Bogota, in Colombia. And since then, since 2012, we offer also remote participation. Once we had that school, the first one in Washington, for example, there were spontaneous hub organized in Barbados, in the Caribbean. So they joined in a university classroom, and they follow all the program, and they were making questions from abroad. But the remote participation was always something like in the side, was not in the mainstream of the program. So when we wanted to organize it in Buenos Aires, we had a lot of people telling me, yeah, you have to come again to Buenos Aires. The University of Buenos Aires is the largest in Argentina and one of the largest and more prestigious in Latin America and in the world. So we were very happy to have their support. And they have a very nice space in the city, a nice place. But then we realized that that was not going to be possible. So we talked to them, and we decided to move to a virtual school. Honestly, what I at that time, that was March, April, and at that time I realized that I didn't want the Zoom typical virtual meeting that we were seeing all the time, again and again. And we started to try to find a company that could give us something like a TV style meeting. And it took a lot of time. We have interviews like with 10 companies. And finally we found, at the time, those companies were in a high demand as well, because they were adapting from the TV into virtual meetings, because for them it was also new. So we finally found one that was able to understand what we wanted. We did some trials. You can see in my backward picture, they prepare a special studio. I was in person there, and all the rest was happening in that screen. And they were making all the time the changing cameras and zooming and all that, like a TV show. And I thought that was very cool and very entertaining. It was extremely expensive, very expensive.
I would say the production value was there, but it couldn't be cheap.
No, it was not cheap. So if someone tells you that such a meeting is cheap, it's not true. Many people think that because of a meeting is virtual, it will be necessarily cheap. Some of the sponsors told that before, and we said it's not cheap, but they don't have to know, and that's okay. And of course, a simultaneous translation with Zoom, and several things happened. We were very happy with the virtual environment that we created, and it was very interesting that we could bring many more important experts from all over the world, because they didn't have to travel. They could allocate only 2 hours or 1.5 hours of their time. And so we had Vincer, we had Doreen Bogdan Martin from ITU, we have Alicia Bárcena, she is the Secretary General from the ICLAC, the one of the divisions of Latin America of the United Nations. So we had very high profile experts that could allocate short of time of their agendas, and the quality of the sound and the images were very good. So we're very happy with that. Everything is recorded in our YouTube channel, SSIG LAC, in 2 languages, and we had fellows from all over the world. That did, of course, most of them were from Latin America, because this is where our network is more strong. But we have fellows from Africa, from Europe, from North America, and from Asia. Not many, but we had much more than in other editions that did have remote participation. So I imagine the future in a blended, in a hybrid format, having people on site when we are able to get together and travel, having students in a virtual mode, and having experts on site and virtual, because we have learned a lot on how to have a very good experience for remote participation, both for students and for experts. I would like to say that in 2018 or 17, 17, we started with the National School of Internet Governance that was organized in a separate way. Only last year we did them together because it was happening in Argentina. And it was very successful with the same concept, not 5 days, but 3 days. So this is more or less the story. And how are we going to do this year? It will be virtual again in October, the same time of the year last year, because we don't, honestly, Latin America is having a hard time with COVID, and we can, honestly, I'm not able to plan this year with these restrictions. I don't know if I can travel. I don't know if we will have fellows, and I cannot ask people to make plans also. So we will be partnering with the Ministry of ICTs of Colombia, because they wanted it to have in person there, but they also understood that that it's not the time.
Okay.
That will happen from 4 to 8 of October. But this year, the fellowship will have an addition, which is a self-administrated training course previously to the school. Before, we used to give the fellows, once selected, reading material and some videos to review, but now it will be more formal with 30 hours self-administrated training that will include reading material, videos, and other information. And so they are prepared. And so the 5 days, which are very, very intense, it's more productive for them to have all this information in mind. And it will be certified by University of Buenos Aires. So it will be, of course, everything will be free, as we have done from the beginning. And it will be totally virtual with this addition. And I think that the future may be, I imagine the future more hybrid format. We will see what happens in 2022.
You said something very quickly, and I maybe you can elaborate on it.
Yeah.
So you're saying this group now, and it may be in the past as well, but you have a relationship with local universities or an accreditation process? Maybe you can elaborate on that.
Well, we're working on that. The University of Buenos Aires was our host last year, like virtual host. And we would like them, and the certificates that we did have their blessing. And so we're working on that with them with this. It's a working process. Yeah, but that's the idea. The idea is that the certification has some formalities from the university, but it's still a working process. But that's the idea.
And what about relationships with other people, such as your local LAC NIC or LAC LTD, or with ISOC or ICANN? Is this something that dovetails with any of those organizations with what you're doing?
Is it something that I didn't get?
Oh, sorry, dovetail. I mean, do you have any informal or a formal relationship with those other people that are doing actually training as well?
Thank you. My English is limited, and
I apologize.
okay. Well, they are always invited to the program. I think that all the teaching materials and courses are complementary. That's not a good. It's in Spanish, complementario. It's so that they could be all together at the same time, and they have different focuses on different audiences.
Okay.
I think this school has something that everyone likes, which is the networking that it produces. You have seen that.
Yeah.
And everyone is expecting that. Many people comes again, even paying themselves. Just in Mexico, we had many people just coming because they remember the one that we did in Mexico in 2011, and they loved that. And we met people again. So that is an outcome, honestly, that we didn't expect at the beginning. Right. And so they get together along the time, and they share work opportunities and vacations. They share travels to ICA meetings. So that is something. I'm not saying that the other training courses are not doing that, but that's something that people appreciate from it. And I think that's a cool outcome that was not expected.
So is that a result? Is that a result of the culture and influence on how you shape a school?
Maybe.
Oh, so okay, or is it your personality?
Latinas.
So, but you have a whole team, though. It's not just yourself, right, Olga?
It's a very small team. It's me. It's my husband, Adrian. I am mainly focused on the program, and we have 3 more people working with us. And of course, we have someone working on the website, but that's something that we hire every year. We update the website and all that, but that's not permanent. It's a small team. I may say that we may be up to 7 when it's more arriving the time, but we are a small team. It's a lot of work. Sometimes I think all the time that I invest in, it's like my 3rd child.
Oh, well, it's a passion for you.
But I think that people perceive that and appreciates that.
Yeah.
So I take a lot of time, and I also get in relationship with each of them. I know their names. I know because I review all the selection process, and I think that people can notice that, and they like it. And of course, a Latino style, Latinos, we are very more perhaps more talkative and more. It's a different culture. Not better. It's different.
Now, let me ask you: do you have a theme for this year's school?
Well, we're working on that. We're working with the Ministry of ICTs of Colombia. They are working very strongly, and that could be a focus in bringing internet to rural areas, and to make the use of domain names .co for entrepreneurship. So they are very much focused on that. Also bridging the digital divide with women and girls. So maybe it's going towards that, but we haven't defined it yet.
Okay, it's a moving target, right?
Yeah. Every year, yeah.
Moving forward, with the dynamics that's happening because of COVID, what are your greatest challenges?
Well, the challenges are first the time. I think the COVID gave us just forced us to understand some other formats, and I think it's okay. So the challenges we were successful in doing it in person.
Mhm.
We were successful in doing it virtual with a total different style and a dynamic, which is expensive but very successful. We will be successful in doing it in a hybrid mode. So that's maybe the challenge. I think that with the experience, I feel comfortable that that could be a good possibility. But yes, and also always for us, it's a big challenge to keep it. It will be free. We won't change that
Okay.
because we started like that. But it's a very extremely expensive effort. Both the in person with the hotel and meals and all that, and the virtual. So the challenge is always the financing and how to get that money. But we will. I'm confident that some organizations and some companies do appreciate the effort and
Now,
can contribute.
you also contributed a chapter to a recent book on internet governance as well, correct?
Sorry.
No, the publication that came out about 2 months ago, on internet governance. It was
I've been. Oh yeah, the book from Routledge.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, but that's a different story. We were talking about the IANA transition. That's a chapter about.
And are you guys producing a new book in the next few, anything we should look
Well,
forward
yeah,
to?
that's a very good question. Many people are asking for that. Someone told me when we thought the first one, it will be a lot of work, and I could never ever imagine that was such a huge work. But the thing is, the book was huge, 700 pages, and with 30 different people contributing and translation in the 3 languages. The effort was really immense.
Wow.
And I'm very proud of it. I think it's a very good book. So I like the idea. I would like it to be more focused on one issue and also broad. And yes, that's the idea. But it's a lot of time, so we have to get organized.
Okay.
But yes,
Okay.
yes, maybe, yeah.
Okay. So anything else you want to say, Olga, before we
No,
conclude?
I want to commend you for the Virtual School of Internet Governance. As I said, I think it's all the different efforts made by ICANN, by ISOC, by you, by us, are helping our not necessarily young professionals. We don't have a limit for any age. So our professionals to be more informed, to be more prepared for a world that it's permanently changing. So the program changes every year for us. Right. And the content changes every year, and the experts change. Some of them are referenced, but some other change very, very not quickly, but they evolve. So I think there is always a lot of audience, and all this material that it's online, it's fantastic for researchers, for students, for professionals. So I think we're doing a great job. Apart from the fact that it's extremely time demanding, and the effort is, I think it's worth the effort.
But the DC Coalition for Schools of Internet Governance, the idea of our group is to exchange ideas, and that's what we're doing today. We're trying to learn from each other, and yeah. It's been a difficult journey. Where from our point of view, myself and Alfredo, I'm blown away by the depth of the student body, the knowledge they already have. And as you know, years ago, when you started way back in 2010, or going back even to Tunis in 2004, nobody was there to help you. Like
I know. My first ICANN meeting, I was totally lost. But think about this. ICANN was the subject for study of my PhD. So I knew everything about ICANN. That was the focus of it was ICANN in relation with Latin America. That was my PhD investigation. So I had everything in mind, and I was there. I was totally lost. Other thing that for us has been very important is to keep it in 2 languages. It's extremely expensive. So everything that we produce, the work, the book was in 3 languages. The book, all the training, all the materials has to be in 2 languages, because people in Latin America tend to not be so skilled in English. So when a native speaker speaks, then it's lost. It's an effort that it's lost if you don't translate. But at the same time, it's extremely expensive, and so the budget suffers a lot. But I think it's worth the effort. So I totally agree with you. I think that the general professionals of many ages have evolved in a very good way, having knowledge and also having a lot of help when they get to IGF or they get to ICANN. And I didn't have that. I had to manage by myself, which is fine as well. It's challenging, but I think it's very good. I honestly sometimes I don't think that people really uses it that much as they could. If I would have that, I would have been using it a lot, but I didn't. So they give it less just for granted, and it didn't exist before.
But I think you pointed out earlier on, it's not just the whether it's virtual or face-to-face school, it's the networking you make, the friends you make.
Yeah. I think that's I think this is why our school people like it so much, and they keep on commenting and social networks, and now they have been posting pictures. Oh, we need another school. We have to meet again, and that, and remember that time we met in Mexico. Remember, so I think that's very nice, and that is that face-to-face interaction. It won't be replaceable. And I don't know, maybe in the future with artificial intelligence or something, but for the moment, for the next years, I don't see it changing. So maybe I hope we can meet in person in the near future.
Okay, that's fantastic. It's again always a pleasure to speak with you, Olga, and give your lovely husband a handshake or whatever.
Same to your wife.
Yes, thank you. And we'll chat again later.
Yes, whenever you want. I'm always ready. And good luck with your school as well.
Great, thank you.